Okay, guys. So we got a pretty special guest with us today. This he's been all over the world. Pretty jealous. Been on some pretty cool hunts, and we're just here to hear more about his experiences, some of the cool things he's done. So, yeah, we'd like to thank Mckenzie Sims for coming on today.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Sorry I couldn't make it down. I mean, obviously, these freaking snowstorms are pretty rough right now. But I'll have to do one in person sometime.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Um, but just to get started here, like obviously, like I was just saying, like you've been traveled all over, hunted a ton of different things. I know I just watched your YouTube video on your bongo hunt, and gotta say I'm pretty jealous about that. That's like kind of one of my dream animals right there. Um,
Yeah, that's definitely one of my top ones. Thanks for watching
yeah.
it.
But how was that? I just want to hear more about like that hunt,
That was
how
that
that
was a
went
fun
for
hunt.
you.
That was a fun hunt. I actually have some buddies on one right now, and I was just actually looking at some photos that they were having better luck already than I did on my 14 days, and it's like day 3 for them, so they're doing pretty well. But that bongo hunt is a special hunt. Like that thing. Like I just said on a recent podcast, that like was like probably the number. It was in the top like 5 animals that I knew of from Africa, even when I was way little, just because
Mhm.
I seen pictures of them. And I was like, what the hell is this thing? Like they're super cool. So then it was like, I always knew what it was, but never really, didn't know where it was. I knew it was in Africa, but then like as I've got to learn more, I found out where they were, where you could hunt them, and then after that, it was just like kind of like, okay, that's one I got to check off the bucket list, and then right before, I guess it was during COVID, I planned it out and just some stuff, they kept having to push stuff back because of travel restrictions and whatnot, but it was just one of those things that I really like. It's one of those things that I had to go do. Like it was probably I would rate doing a bongo hunt is like something in my mind. Like I should have done that years ago and not done a lot of the other stuff that I've done. Like I
Mhm.
should have just went and done that a long time ago. But I also thought it was like I always kept thinking, oh, it's so expensive, so expensive. Now you look and a stone sheep's going to be 105,000 next year. So I mean, it's like
Yeah.
they're going to be cheap, compared to stone sheep hunt. But I mean, just kind of all depends on how you look at it. But that was probably that's one of my top hunts that I've ever done. Like it was hard. We hunted 9 days before getting a bongo. Um, like in Cameroon, they hunt with dogs, CAR, you sit in a Machan quite a bit and do a lot of like over like big savannas type hunts. So in Cameroon, we had dogs and we'd get on the tracks and we had like 6 or 7 dogs with us and only one was working for like the first 3 or 4 days and we'd get on bongo, but like the bongo would get up and run and the one dog would just bark and kind of, half-ass chase it. And, I'd just get away from us. So we'd spend a lot of time walking. The other dogs wouldn't do anything. They would spend more time chasing chimpanzees and messing around and chasing blue dikers that come running by. But other than that, they weren't really doing any work. And it was just like it was fun. Like I was over the forest. So by the time it was like how we're over the snow right now, I was because
Yeah.
it rained every day in the forest. I was so over the rain because we don't like you guys aren't that far from me, so we don't see a lot of rain really on
Right on,
average.
not at
Especially
all.
like here in Evans, we don't see very much. I think I seen more rain and was involved in more rain in one week and 14 day safari and one 14-day safari than I am in like 2 or 3 years here in Evanston. Like it was like every day just downpours, and I was over it, and I was ready to get out of the forest. Um, but I like hindsight, I'm like, I'm ready to go back tomorrow type of deal. Or
Right.
yesterday, I should have been there yet. And so it's just like that was probably one of my like highest achievements, just spending the time to actually get the bong on it. I mean, I was like grateful it took us so long because we ended up getting lucky, got a really nice one. It's not like a true monster, but it'd be like a 180, 190 inch mule deer type deal
That's
if you can
sweet.
put it into comparison.
Yeah, it
Just so I can be educated on a little bit. So a bongo, what is a bongo? Is that reddish? Is that reddish
yeah, it's
animal?
that red one and got
Yeah.
like white stripes and
Okay.
spiral
Yeah,
horns.
Yep.
those things are super cool looking.
Yeah, they're super cool. You can hunt them in, like I said, you can hunt them in Cameroon and CAR. You can
Cameron.
even hunt them in Texas. But I
Yeah.
believe the one in Texas is the Kenya mountain bongo. So it's a different species. So like if you look at the one that like I shot and then you look at the ones in Texas, one in Texas are like a lot darker in the face. And
Mm.
that is more kind of off the gene of the Kenya mountain bongo. So to me, it's like a different species even than the ones you get in Cameroon and CAR.
And those ones aren't native to Texas, I'm guessing, right? They're
No.
implanted.
No, they're implanted, yeah. But you can't hunt them in Kenya anymore. So if it is what which a lot of people think it is the Kenya mountain bongo. If it is, it's good because it's probably the only way they're gonna survive the way
Gotcha.
Africa rolls.
Yeah, I know that looked super cool. Just watching your videos and stuff, just trekking through the jungle the whole time with the dogs.
It
And
was fun.
it looked like, how close were
Different.
you when you shot? It looked like you were like 15, 20 yards, if that,
It was.
just because
I
how
saw
thick it
like
was.
it was like I'm trying to just like even like in the room that I'm in right now, it was probably like the same distance from the wall. It was probably like 15 yards. Yeah, I'd say 15 yards. And I literally shot at a patch of orange like this big.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't see anything. And the PH is like, do you see it? And I saw horn and I saw a patch of orange and I shot. And then the second shot, I shot another patch of orange. And then when I shot the third time, same thing. I seen like a little bit more of the body and kind of like guessed where it was going to be and shot and he dropped. But like sometimes you get him in like an open area. Like my buddy Tyler that was on the same hunt, he got his in like a pretty kind of it's more of a canopy area. Like the trees are like all grown up above, but it's not like a lot of low vegetation. Like where I was, it was like just straight up low vegetation. But I think because we were actually so close to the road because we followed that bongo for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and we kept just zigzagging back across the road with the dogs. We'd go off and then he'd get back on the roads. We'd walk down the roadways and then we'd bail off. And we were only, I don't know, we were like a couple hundred yards off the road, maybe even if that, like 100, 150. And I think there'd been some logging or something right in that area because it was like kind of like the sun was coming through in some spots, but it was like so thick and just, we were literally right next to the bongo and he got up and ran and there was a porcupine. The dog was messing with the porcupine barking and this thing got up and crashed and then did like a big circle and came right back to the same spot. And me and my PH Dan were like, well, what was that? And he's like, it's probably a gorilla or some monkeys. And he was like being negative about it too, because we'd been, getting our butts kicked. And literally the dog circled back around after the pygmies went and got him off the porcupine. And he came back and did like a circle. And when he came around us, he bumped the bongo and then he bait it right there, which was super cool. And then we actually had another dog help. And then after he helped, the other ones kind of just funneled in there and held it at least for us to get in close.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's probably one at the top of my list for me. Go over there and do that.
Yeah, it was super fun.
But for you, how did you first I'm guessing you probably like your dad or family members hunted, but for you, like when did you first start getting into hunting? And I guess what was kind of that journey for you like?
So my dad, he grew up in Arkansas and Alabama, and he did my grandpa was a big bird hunter, and so he did like a bunch of like quail and stuff like that. So my dad grew up around bird dogs, and he would do like whitetail and just the odds and ends stuff. And then when he moved out here to Wyoming, I think he moved out here in like 71 or 72. He he would literally quit his job like every September and go ride horseback and go like deer and elk hunting, but he would never like hunted hard because we don't really have any he doesn't have any like bucks and bulls to show for it. He just spent a lot of time riding a horse, messing around the mountains, and he would shoot cows and raghorns, and stuff like that. So he liked to hunt quite a bit. And he got me into it because, he would quit his job. And so I would go up and spend time in camp with him when I was really like a baby, because it was like he started our business 2 years after that. So after I was born, so it wasn't like I got to spend a lot of his big quitting time and going up there with him. But like for the little bit I did. And then as as I got older, he would like leave for like a week or two from work and go up there and do stuff. And so I would go up and hang out and ditch a lot of school. I probably spent less days in school than I did at school.
Yeah, that's all right, dude. Screw school. School sucks. It just teaches you how to be
Yeah,
nothing, man.
yeah, no, they don't
That's
teach
pretty
you
cool though.
anything
No.
good.
Yeah, we aren't big school guys, if you can't tell. I did college, or I guess I still am in college a little bit, but just kind of part-time. But yeah, not a
Nice.
big fan.
What are you going to school for?
What let me ask you this then. So what for you is what makes hunting such an uh addiction, infatuation? Like what makes it so just what makes you love it so much?
I just like the adventure of it, man. Like
Okay.
I like whether it's turkey hunting here in North America, like I could go turkey hunting in Wyoming and have just as much fun, like in retrospect as I do going to Africa. It's still just like I love it just as much, but I do love Africa more than anything, just because there's added stuff to that because like I love meeting the people. I
Cool.
love eating the food, experiencing new things. Because to me, like I do love elk and deer hunting, but it's getting to the point like I don't follow like people on social media. I don't follow them if they hunt deer and elk because I get so worked up because I, especially mule deer, like I love big deer so much. Like I feel so jealous when some other dude it's like 190, 200 inch deer. It's like I want I love it love them so much. I get so worked up. So I try not to follow like not being me. I just try not to follow people so I don't sit there and like all year round. It's like, ah, damn, I gotta hunt mule deer. I gotta hunt mule deer. You know what I mean? Like I get so infatuated with one thing. So it's like I love Africa so much because it's like I feel it's like a lot of people do it, but not as much in our area, especially not as much as people do like mule deer now. Cause it's like you go do an over the counter tag here in Wyoming or in Utah, and it's like the whole hill's orange, you know, people are everywhere. And some of that does take the fun out of it for me. So I'd rather go spend time with, you know, just me hunting and a couple other guys in camp, you know, in Asia or Africa or anywhere else, you know, just because I do, you know, I love it so much. I do like when I'm out doing public land hunts, I see people doing things that I don't think are ethical, or I just get so worked up at like littler deer getting shot. I'm like, oh, that buck could have been something like 4 years. Like I just get so worked up over it, which is good and bad, I guess. But it's just like, I like, it keeps me peace of mind going and doing this other stuff. And I just love the international stuff so much.
I know that's how I am. Like I think Africa's funner, like just like hunt wise. Like it's funner going over there. But dude, I just think mule deer are like the coolest animals ever. Like same thing. I'll see like Jason Carter, these guys killing like
Yeah.
a 200-inch deer every year. And it's
Yeah.
almost just like a challenge for me. Like I just need to kill a big mule deer. Like it's not even as like it's as fun as going over to Africa and hunting a bunch of different species. But like it's just almost I'm just so competitive about it. Like I just
Yeah.
need a big mule deer. So
Yeah. That's how I am.
I'm the
Exactly.
same way.
Competitive part.
And I think that's cool too, that like you're kind of like the ethical side of it too, because I feel like there's a lot of uneducated people when it comes to hunting. Like they see these guys, for example, go over to Africa and see them kill these really cool and beautiful animals, and they're like, oh, they're terrible people. But like these uneducated people are like, don't realize like you're supporting communities, you're helping ecosystems, and it's like you're doing all these good things, but because of hunting, and people are just so stupid and so uneducated in that world, in that realm. So I think
Yeah.
that's really cool that you like the ethical side of hunting, because there really is a big ethical side of hunting that people don't understand.
No, 100%. Like, you know, like I can go buy a 50 or $100 over the counter elk or deer tag. And that doesn't do, I mean, to be honest, it doesn't, my 150 bucks or whatever I spend doesn't do shit, you know, in the drop of a bucket compared to like, you know, like going to Asian hunting ibex or going to Africa and doing a plains, even a plains game hunt. You're still employing a lot more people by going and doing that stuff because, you know, you're employing trackers, skinners, cooks, camp people, PHs, and then the outfit business. And then like Asia, you know, you always got porters, you got all these other people involved. It's like, you know, you might spend, let's just say 10 or 12 grand over here, like Asia, Africa, hunting this stuff. But look what your 10 or 12 grand did in the long run compared to your over the counter deer tag. Now I know you go buy gear and stuff and support companies, but it doesn't have the same impact. Now, like when you get on like a Jason Carter level, you're really supporting like the local gas stations because that dude's gas bill, I guarantee, has to be
Oh
phenomenally
yeah.
high. You know what I mean? When you get on those guys' level, you're spending a ton of money. Like I'm not like no one can tell me that those guys are not spending a ton of money because either they're taking time off work, you know, they're buying trail cameras if it's legal anymore anywhere, but they're doing trail cameras, they're doing food, they're doing gas back and forth because Jason still works and goes back and scouts and works and back and scouts because, you know, that adds up, especially, you know, right now in 2023, the price of fuel. But it's like those guys are spending just as much chasing those giant deer as us going to Africa and Asia, whether people want to pencil it in there or not, because there's more days off of work for this one deer than it is to go to Africa for 10 days.
Yeah, I know. I've always thought that. Like a lot of kids I know around here, they're like, "Oh, I want to go to Africa, but it's so much." I'm like, dude, if you really like break it down, just like a plains game, if you just went over there for like a plains game hunt or something, like by the time you factor in all your like your tag, your fuel getting there, especially if you're hunting out of state, you know, all the food and
Yeah.
gear you're buying, like probably just as much or even cheaper just going to Africa and whacking a few
Yeah.
plains game
Especially,
stuff.
especially
So
on certain hunts. Yeah. I agree 100% because it's like, the amount of money, like, and it's everyone has their own thing. If they want to just hunt deer and elk, that's 100% cool. But like if they use the price point as a thing, that's where it gets me when they say, "Oh, it's a price thing." It's because there's a lot of uneducatedness in that because it's like, okay, full package, flights included. Let's just say it's 13,000 to go to South Africa. Well, you put in for your tag. How many years did you not draw? What was your like $150 or $50 that you didn't, get refunded to you? How many years did that go into this? Okay, fuel. How much time did you take off work? So what money did you not make? They usually make, like, all this stuff comes into play, and it adds up to be about the same on some of those, like, especially on the coveted deer tags. Like if like if a guy draws a Ponsagon tag or Henry Mountains tag, he ain't just going down there. Most guys aren't just going to go down there for the season. They're going to go spend weekends. They're going to have buddies down there. They're probably going to be buying a bunch of food. Like, I don't know if they're going to pay for their buddies' food or not or whatever, but like there's so much more involved in that stuff. It comes down to about the same thing if you ask me.
Yeah, for sure. So how many times have you been over to Africa?
I think maybe 16, 15 though, for sure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's my favorite, man.
Dude, I don't even think I've left the
I could
state of
pack it
Utah
somewhere.
that many times.
Uh,
So what I think one question I have, like, if you boil it down, maybe it's comparable at least, like with these hunts and stuff. But 15 to 16 hunts in Africa, wherever else you've been, what's fueling this financially? Like, how are you able to do this? Like, I'm super curious.
Well, yeah. So like, my dad started a company in 1998. I believe that was the year. That's oil and gas construction. So, when I was younger, I talked on a recent podcast, like my dad didn't take me, like we didn't do sports. Like he didn't play football with me. He didn't go to like when we went and spent time together, we were hunting. So once we used to take off time and go hunt like in the mountains here, but then once we got the bug for Africa, we'd go over there. So he would pay for a lot of that when I was younger. And then after that, when I got older, I'm just like, I love it still. And, I just do so much different stuff in the oil and gas industry. And then I would try smaller businesses. I tried doing stuff in the hunting industry, and, that just doesn't work. You'll lose more than you'll make unless you go like all in and do, unless you're an outfitter and you buy good areas, have like a bunch of tags that you can get, and not have to worry about draws and stuff. But like just doing small stuff in the hunting industry, you're not going to make it. Like trying to stay super small, you got to go full on. And for me, that wasn't what I wanted to do. And so I pulled out of all that stuff, cut my losses and all that. And I just focus on construction, oil and gas stuff.
Gotcha. Okay, way cool. So construction, oil and gas. So are you like what kind of oil are you guys doing?
So we're doing pipelines and compressor stations. So we'll do all the midstream work. So we'll build compressor stations, do pipelines, kind of all that stuff. We do a ton of, I do a bunch of like sandblasting and painting of, either old pipe or new pipe or any structural steel that we put up, type of stuff like that.
Cool. That's awesome.
So do you have any, like you mentioned before, you kind of started some small business or tried to do some in the hunting industry or other industries or whatever? Do you have any in the future that you'd like to do, or are you just going to stick with the oil and gas and keep doing that?
If I do anything in the hunting industry, it's going to be acquiring bigger companies. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
If I ever did, but I won't get back into it. It's just, to me, it's not a waste of time, and it wasn't like a failure, but it was a big learning curve. Like I spent so much time, like when I was younger, focusing on building like hat brands and all this other stuff and doing these giveaways and all this other stuff and I lost money on all of it when I could have focused on construction, oil and gas, and been up here instead of here. You know what I mean? I could have been so much further taking what I have, like, cause you guys are in like Utah County, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's like Casey Baugh and those guys live down there. I don't know if you know Casey Baugh or Bodie Gardner.
That doesn't sound. Is he in construction?
Anyways,
Or hunting?
no, they're just they're some pretty like successful guys that I follow on like Instagram and look up to. And Bodie did a podcast and he was talking to a guy, and the guy was a dentist, and he's like, well, don't go after something that you're passionate about. Go after something that's going to make you money so you can do what you're passionate about. And I tried going after stuff that I was passionate about instead of going after what will make me money to go do what I'm passionate about. That's what I would say if anyone wants to get into it. Unless you're going to go start out and build the next Kuyu or the next Gunworks or, or Barnes Bullets, anything like massive like that. yeah, sure, go do it. Always have fun stuff on the side, but don't focus all your energy on it. Go focus on something that's going to pay for you to go do all the fun stuff that you want to do. That's
Yeah,
my goal now.
that's how I've always thought of it. Like, I feel like everything I'd like to do, like enjoy doing, like it mean like a hunting guide or something like that. Maybe like we're both really into the gym, so maybe like personal trainer or something. Like I think I'd enjoy
Yeah.
all that, but like what you're making 40 to 60 grand a year. So like I'd
Yeah.
way rather, do something where maybe you don't enjoy it as much, but you're making money to go do those things that you do
Yeah. I
enjoy.
owned a gym here. I bought a gym here in 2021, and that was another one of those learning curves. I didn't want to like work at it. Like
Mhm.
I wanted to be the owner and have it as like an investment. And I ended up spending more time working at and not making a dime and putting a lot more money back into it. So it's just like one of those things I should have just put that money and focused on growing my skill set in the construction industry. Should have worked on that, or even just in business period, put all that money towards that and went and done, something bigger, because I had too many little things going at once and not focusing on one big thing.
What
Yeah.
kind of gym did you buy? Was like a CrossFit gym or like just like a regular?
Yeah, it was like a CrossFit type of gym. We just weren't affiliated
Okay, gotcha.
It's cool.
Yeah,
because
that's
I
cool.
had employees and all that stuff too. So it was kind of like, after payroll and then having trainers and stuff like that, it was like, and I live in a small town here, so it's like you got to have everyone show up if you want.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So I have a question with being to Africa, being to Africa as many times as you've been, kind of traveling all around the world on these different hunts. Have you ever had any like close encounters with like animals or just like sketchy experiences with, people or the places you've traveled or
Or
anything like that?
like
Yeah.
skinwalkers or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing. I mean, nothing super like a snake was pretty sketchy in Cameroon. It was striking ass. That was probably one of like the closer times I've ever had to being like either bit or something in Africa. That'd
Yeah, I
probably be
saw that. That looked pretty crazy when it jumped out from under the stick or something.
Oh, screw snakes. I hate snakes. Gosh dang it.
yeah. I mean, these things are huge, and yeah, that's probably the closest time. I had a buffalo that kind of somewhat. It wasn't charging us, but like when I shot it, finally when I brained it, it turned and like looked at us and gave us like the look that he knew we were there. Um, And then other than that, I mean, we almost hit a camel in Pakistan. That was pretty sketchy. And then in Tajikistan, those roads, like it's the same as like you've been to Kyrgyzstan, so you
Yeah.
understand those roads. Like there's no like lanes; they just haul ass everywhere, and you just like hope you get there. Like driving was probably the sketchiest stuff that I've seen in like Asia. Even in Turkey, because I was in Turkey when they had that plane get shot down over Syria a couple years ago. But I never felt like any weird stuff in any of those places. Just like the driving's about the only scary thing. It's getting from point A to point B. If you make it in between, you're good.
Yeah, I know that's pretty great. Like, I know I remember Turkey's funny because I've been to Turkey too, and that's like one of the safest places I think I've ever been. Like, felt like just being there and feeling safe. But I know before, like
Mhm.
everyone was telling me, like, "Oh, you're going to Turkey, like that's so sketchy and stuff." But once you're over there, it was like probably one of the safest countries I've been to, at least parts where
Yeah,
I
it
was
was.
at. But
Yeah, it was safe both times I've been in Pakistan. I think Pakistan and Azerbaijan were the two like safest feeling countries I was in Asia. Like everyone in Pakistan stares at you like, oh wow, like someone from America. Like that's not military or media trying to put like a bad light on them. And they would stare at you for a second. And as long as you smiled at them, they'd smile and wave like they were the coolest people ever. Azerbaijan, they were super cool. But like, yeah, I've never had any like super sketchy. I've had more sketchy rodeos on horses here in Wyoming than I have hunting international. Like there's been times I thought my ass was gonna get left in the mountains here.
yeah, I know that was the worst. Like you probably know it. Like when you're younger, you're out hunting with your dad. You're just a little kid, and your dad's like, "Oh, stay here for a little bit. I'm gonna go check out over here," and then he's gone for like a couple hours, and you're like freaking out, and you're just funny
We
stuff
actually had
like that.
two. I don't even know how old I was. I was like 5, 6 maybe. We had two horses leave us. We were riding and some cow elk. Some people were shooting on this other ridge, but on the other side of the ridge, and some cow elk came over, and my dad jumped off and shot one, and I was holding the horses. And
Mhm.
when he shot, the one jerked me, and so I let go of the one that I didn't move and was trying to hold the other one, and then they took off, and so they both left us, and so they took both our saddles, my 22, and then we never found the elk that he shot.
Oh, geez.
There was some blood. We never found the elk. So then we had to hike out to the road. I think it was 2.5 weeks later that the horses showed up on the road, and some guys that were like camped by us that, that they were just knew my dad. They called him and said, "Hey, your horses, we caught them. They're on the road." Still had my 22 and the scabbard and everything.
Oh,
Oh, that's lucky, man. That could have been a lot worse. Holy
Yeah.
crap.
how happy
Yeah.
was your dad with
It
you
only
that
has like a
you
few
lost
scratches
the
on
horses?
stock.
Or sorry,
Yeah.
what was
It
that?
only has like a few scratches in stock. Oh, it
Oh,
only has like a
nice.
few scratches in stock too. So
That's really cool.
yeah.
How happy was your dad with you that you lost the horses?
He knew I was so little.
Oh,
Like, and he usually he can have a temper and blow up, but he didn't blow up that time. Not that I remember.
that's
That's
good.
good.
That's good.
That's good.
So with your I just thought this was super funny because I had the same thing happen. But I watched your tur hunt that you went on, and just like the guides over there, the video, you're like yelling at them a little bit. There's like 20 guys up there running around, and I just want to ask how that was for you dealing with
That was a shit show.
all those guys. Yeah.
Um,
Some
that was like,
content, but
yeah, it's like, so in Asia, like you get like, there's like same in like Africa and Asia, like a little bit different in this aspect. You get all these guys that are just like in Asia, they were like, we had so many guys with us on our turd hunt that they were just like wanting to help so much, but they all thought that the value of their tip was created on like one guy standing above the rest of everyone. So they were like competing with each other. And so we just event my interpreter, after I yelled at him, like I was like, dude, you guys, like they would fight and the tur would be right below us and they would haul ass and they were like yelling at each other. I'm like, my interpreter told him, you're getting the same tips whether you sit here and help us or you go back to like the village in the bottom, because you guys are being like, this is so hard, because they were all bickering with each other, trying to tell each other, let's go this way to get to him, let's go this way to get to him. Like it was just like a major shit show. But once we kind of ironed that out, it was like smooth sailing. But at first they were just like so competitive with each other. It was like, holy hell, what's going on,
I know that's how we were when we were over in Kyrgyzstan. You have like 10 guys and they're all kind of competing. They all want to be the man, they're all kind of competing with each
Yeah.
other. And at least over there, they love doing like driven hunts. So they'd always like, there'd be like a group of ibex or something, and we'd be like, set up on them, right? And then we're like, dude, we could like, there's a ridge in between, like we could sneak closer and just like pick one out of the herd. But they'd be like, oh no, we're going to send some guy down on horses and try and drive them up to you. And every time, yeah, exact same way, just a shit show. You got 200 ibex run by you and they're just yelling at you to shoot, and you're like, dude, I don't know what one to shoot. Like, could have just snuck up closer and picked the biggest one. But we had a pretty good guy with us. We had a guy from Turkey with us that knew what he was doing and could speak their language too. So he was kind of letting them know what the deal was. So it ended up pretty good. We all got good ibex and stuff. But
Yeah, sweet. It looked like you guys shot some good ibex. I bet that was a fun. Did you do like Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan or Turkey back to back?
yeah, it was on the same trip. So we went
Okay.
to Kyrgyzstan and did the ibex, and then on our way back we stopped in Turkey and we just did pigs over there.
Oh, cool.
I want to do the Bezoar ibex in Turkey. I think that'd be a sick hunt too. But we just did the pigs there, and then went up to Istanbul, toured around there a little bit, and then came home.
Oh, cool. That's a cool place.
Yeah.
so you've been on all these hunts, right? And I'm sure you got to fulfill a lot of dreams doing these hunts. But like, with that being said, where would be your next ideal hunt? If you could choose any hunt, any place, any time of the year, where would you go? And what would you hunt?
Man, it's tough, but like my next like major like one that I will do, whether it takes me to the end of my life to do, I'll do a Lord Derby Eland. Like that will be that's my kind of like next one. Like I said, I'm infatuated with Africa. That's like my favorite place. And Lord Derby Eland, they're from Cameroon, Central Africa, they're from that area. And it's just another one of those things like the bongo. It's been so high on my list for so long that it's like I need to go do it. I've had some stuff planned, but then I kind of changed some stuff around. So it'll happen. It was just might be a year or two, but it'll happen. Most of my dream stuff is still in Africa. I'd love to do like a high Altai or a Gallia in Mongolia or a Markhor, but at this point, it's like the prices are, extremely high on those, and I'd rather do like 4 or 5 hunts instead of just going and spending it for one animal. I'd rather do 4 or 5 good hunts.
Yeah, what are the Altai running like what, like 100, 120K right now for the high Altai?
I think the big one, I think right now they're like 160, 180.
Oh,
But
even more
I
than
mean,
that. Holy
that's
shit.
like, there's just like, there's some guys that say they'll sell them to you for 110, 120, but you know, all the good Rams, I think, are in that 160 to 180. Could be wrong, but from what I've been quoted and seen other guys paying, they're pretty expensive. And I mean, Jimmy John, I think he shot that big one a few years ago, and I think his was close pushing 4 that he paid for it.
Dang.
400,000.
Is that the Jimmy John
Yeah.
guy? The guy that owns Jimmy John's?
Yeah, he sold all of it out now, but yeah, it was that Jimmy John.
Makes a great sandwich, I'll tell you that much. Oh, I love that.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
I'm more of
I
a
should have
Jersey
thought of
Mike's
something.
guy, but I think Jersey Mike's is better, but we always argue about it.
See, yeah, Jersey Mike's is all right.
See,
It's
here in
just
Wyoming,
go for it. Go for it.
I was gonna say, here in Wyoming, all we have was Subway forever, and then Jimmy John showed up, so it was kind of like something new.
Right. Well,
We
Jimmy
get
John's,
4 restaurants, that's it.
they make a good sandwich. I'll tell you that right now. They're quick, they're fast. You know exactly what you're getting. But here's the thing: Jersey Mike's does not have the consistency as Jimmy John's. Jimmy John's, you always know you're getting a good sandwich. But I feel like Jersey Mike's, it's like really good one week, and then you go back that same week, even it's not the same sandwich. And it's just it's frustrating. I'm super passionate about food. You guys are passionate about hunting, and I'm super passionate about food, as you can tell.
I love it, dude. I love it.
Yeah, we've had some pretty in-depth discussions about Jimmy John's and Jersey Mike's, if you can't tell.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm gonna have to try is there like I guess obviously there's Jersey Mike's down where you guys live. So I guess next time I'm in that area, I'm gonna have to try one of those out.
Yeah, try out Jersey Mike's.
Make sure you get it Mike's way, right? Is it Mike's way?
I think, yeah, Mike's way.
Mike's way. I
Okay.
mean, it's good, but you're gonna get soggy bread. I'll tell you that right now.
Right, yeah, I like it more.
Yeah, I'm sticking with the Jimmy John's.
Yeah, stick with the Jimmy John's. It's always a safe bet. But yeah. So I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you ever feel like you're gonna get to a point in your life where you're like, hey, I feel like I've really hunted a ton. I feel pretty satisfied with what I've done. I think I'm done hunting. I don't want to hunt anymore. You ever think you'll get there?
I don't know. Like, to me, I think obviously if that point comes, I don't have any fun doing it anymore, and I definitely would quit. It's like there's a lot of things that I kind of like put in the back burner, like hunting wise. Like, I think I could always go to Africa, because even like I can always go on a safari, and I would go on a hunting safari because my buddies are all outfitters, and I could even go over there and not actually shoot something and still have just as much fun. But it's gonna be through my guys that have hunting operations and not just like a photographic safari. Just because I've made so many friends over there, I don't think there'll ever come a point when I just say, "Nah, I'm done."
Yeah.
I've thought about a lot of things, like, do I spend too much money hunting? Like, do I don't have, I'm not married. I don't have any girlfriends, like, because I hunt too much. Like, do I need to focus on that? It's like, probably not. You know what I mean? Like, I just love hunting so much. Like, I am full on addicted to it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, I've looked at some of your stuff. I can tell you're full on addicted to it. But with that being said, I don't think it's a bad thing. I feel like it's something you're passionate about and you're doing good at it. And it's really, I mean, I love seeing that stuff. It's freaking awesome. So,
do you have any other, with that being said, do you have like any other hobbies or things you do besides hunting and work right now? Or is it just pretty much hunting and work?
Just hunting and work, man. Like I said, I've always had like small businesses. So I love like trying to build things. And so like right now I'm trying to just figure out how to revamp some stuff within our family business. And then, there's just other things I want to do business wise, like do investing, multifamily stuff. Like, I just want to do a lot of different stuff like that. And it's just hunting and, business stuff is kind of what I'm focused on right now. I don't really have a lot of hobbies. Like I live obviously like I literally live in the middle of nowhere, I feel like. And there's not a whole lot to do. I don't hang out with a lot of people. I literally hang out with my puppy and that's about it. Like I don't do anything on Fridays and Saturdays. You can find me probably sitting right here at 8 or 9 at night or in bed. Like I'm in bed. I like because you guys obviously work out a bunch. Like so I'm in bed usually 8:39 and I'm up at 3:30 in the gym at 4, trying
Nice.
to trying to work out. I'm trying to get back in shape. So I got pretty out of shape when I actually owned the gym. It was kind of one of those things that it's like the mechanic, he never has time to work on his own car. Like
Right.
when I owned the gym, I didn't want to go to the gym and work out because I hated that place so much because of all the BS that was going on. And so I'm trying to get back into it. So stuff
Yeah.
like that. I like working out. I guess that's a hobby, like fitness
Right.
stuff. You know?
That's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's a hobby.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a lifestyle, brother.
Yeah. It's more of a lifestyle.
Yeah.
yeah. So I guess for guys that haven't really hunted, as international gone on as many international hunts for you, or like I guess especially like Africa, I guess what advice would you give to them? Just kind of looking into doing some of these hunts, or traveling outside, their home state or the US, or
Like where could they start? Like where's a good place to start looking or something?
Good question. Do you guys want? I'm gonna interrupt you. You guys want to resend the link before it cuts
Yeah, let's
off?
resend. Let me just end it and then
Okay.
I'll resend it.
Okay. Cool.
Here.
Yeah.
okay. Sorry, do you want me to repeat my question? Been a minute.
No, I got it still.
Okay,
So the
perfect.
question, to answer the question on what would I tell someone that wants to get started, like on the international stuff and whatever, I would say like here's like trying to think of like here's three like really good starter like international hunts. One would be South Africa or maybe a plains game. Like those are pretty like good, get your toes in the water, experience it because it's going to be more affordable. It's going to hit a lot of people's price points as far as, money wise. You're going to have a lot of adventure into it, because you're going to Africa, you're going to be either experience South Africa or Namibia. Then I would say another one would be New Zealand. New Zealand is a little bit more expensive just because they're not really a third world country like Africa. Their currency is a lot better, but it's still like a good feet in your waters international. It's not like you're going somewhere crazy and scary. And then like another one's Argentina. Argentina is a really good one. Like, even if you're like a bird hunter, like Argentina has so much bird hunting available and it's a great place to go kind of get your feet wet in that. Cause obviously like all these places too, like, especially if you're a big, kind of Western states guy and cause like most of us like here in the West will have one or two tags a year, whether it's cow tags or antelope and mule deer or elk and mule deer, like somehow like most guys in the West will have a way to have one or two tags instead of a whitetail guy having one tag and it's like November. And us Western guys are like August through October, Africa, New Zealand, all those places, Africa, like you can hunt 24/7 in Africa, depending on where you go. Like just, the seasons are different, but like prime time in New Zealand and prime time in Argentina will be like April to July. It's, perfect and fitting to where it's not the same time as us here in North America are most of our hunts, so it's a great time for guys and gals to go over there, especially like, like we could get out of the winter that we're having right now and go somewhere else and have a great experience, because like right now the stags are roaring in both New Zealand and Argentina. So it's like hunting elk in the rut for us. So those are really good like starter points. And it's something like kind of get your feet wet. And I just say like one thing is like, pricing wise, like what I would do is get a hold of like find the outfitter first that you want to go with. And, whether you want to be able to put a small deposit down and book 4 or 5 years out and just do payments. Cause that's how I had done like my stone sheep. It took me 4 years to pay that thing off. And that was when they were half as much as what they are now. But like do payment plans, start on payment plans or get on cancellation lists. Cause there's some, like, if you can like, especially like if you own your own business or, like let's say your off season for work, your downtime is like right now. Well, sometimes you might get a super good cancellation deal to go to, New Zealand, Argentina, but you got to leave tomorrow or the next day. It's like so short notice, but you get, a 50% discount because the guy already had a deposit in. just like things like that. Plan ahead, make it work. Try to figure out how, because like, um, things might seem like they're out of reach, but if you put it like, if you're a firm believer in it, I think you can make anything happen, as long as you try, because, you don't get anywhere not trying. So you might as well try. So always make a plan and have some goals and some dreams to kind of go do this stuff. And, you might have a dream to go do, let's say you might be wanting to go to Argentina and you're saving up. And then by the time you get the money, you're like, let's go to Africa, or let's go do something else, or even an ibex hunt. Like ibex hunts are great, kind of like first international hunts. You got to have kind of like, they're a lot rougher. You're going to be eating worse food than you would in all three of the other hunts that I described. It's more of a rough hunt, but like for a lot of the guys that like the backcountry hunts, first hunts that I would say is go to Kyrgyzstan and do an ibex hunt, or like if Azerbaijan opens back up, go to Azerbaijan and do a Dagestan deer hunt. You can go to Russia and do them, or like again New Zealand, you can go do a backcountry tar and chamois hunt, and that's going to be June, July when the capes are. You can go earlier, but the perfect time is June, July when the capes are better. But like stuff like that is what I would say. There's a lot of great opportunities. It just depends on kind of what you want. I would rank, like Africa, Argentina, New Zealand kind of be like more of a family first time deal, or so a guy likes to hunt elk. But like if you're, like more of the backcountry guy, like even if you're backcountry elk or backcountry mule deer or just like a sheep guy, go to, do a tur hunt or do an ibex hunt, because there's a lot of different stuff, involved there. And it's just totally different experiences. And price points are, you used to be able to get some of these tur hunts for like 9-10 grand. It's probably going to be 12-15 now, when they reopen, and just, obviously prices of everything has went up. So, but I mean, you could get some really good deals on these Asia hunts, and, or a lot of good deals in Africa, a lot of good deals in, New Zealand, Argentina. It just depends on what you want and kind of what your end dream is, like your end goal,
So finding an outfitter. So you said that's an important part. Find your outfitter, where you want to go, whatever. What's a good way to find an outfitter? Like go to like the safari shows, like an expo, just Google it. Like what's the best way to go find a good outfitter?
Like Googling outfitters is a great way. Like, or social media nowadays. Get on social media and get a notepad and pen. Like I even have a notepad here. I take so many notes. Like this is literally like I just started this new one, but this is my safari hunting notebook. Like I take notes on all sorts of stuff, But so what I would do is get on social media, Google, and just from appearance, from what you see, write 20 guys down. Okay, now go in and get the reference list. Now, when you call a reference, most of the time those references have had a good time. That's why they're on the reference list. I've actually been put on reference lists that I didn't have a great time with the outfitter, but the area was phenomenal. So when guys call me, I'm like honest. I'm like, hey, the outfitter, if this is what you want, this is not going to be it. But if this is what you want, this is great. So it's like, get on there, get 20 guys on a list, go through and call references, kind of look at the way their website is, kind of like look at the photos, kind of see if they're, because a lot of guys, I mean, you can have like, for instance, we'll put this in like mule terms. You can have a lot of guys, doing the wide angle lenses and like kind of doing like all these funny photos to make things look big. So look at, just kind of be, cautious of that stuff. There's just guys in Africa that are using the wide angle lenses too. And I all the time I sit there and cringe, they're making things look bigger to just try to sell when it's not a good selling point. Get on Facebook forums, like Facebook groups. Facebook groups are great. There's a lot of good Africa ones because guys are always on there talking. But like when you come down, like let's just say you have 20 to start with, and you go through all these other things like Facebook groups, you talk to people, you call references, and you get down to like 10. Go to trade shows, go to like Safari Club International or Dallas Safari Club. Like those are the two main ones that more of the international guys will be at, whether it's Africa guys or Asia guys. Like the top tier ones will more than likely be at these two trade shows. And so, have your list of 5 or 10 and go sit down and talk with them. That's what I would do. I'd go sit down and talk with them. And, this one guy might have the best website. He might email you and sell you the best, but when you sit down and talk to him, you don't hit it off with him, and whether you're paying, $3 grand less with this guy or $4 grand more with this other guy, but you don't hit off with this guy that you're talking to, but you had a damn good time with the guy that was $4,000 more and you enjoy talking to them at the trade shows, maybe you went to dinner, had a beer, whatever, and you enjoyed it, what's it worth for you to pay the $4,000 because you know you mesh with this guy really well compared to with a guy that you didn't have any kind of like relationship with or mesh with? Because on that hunt, you're not going to enjoy it because you didn't enjoy your one-on-one interaction with them to begin with. So the trade shows is kind of like, to me, like if you can't go to them right away, like if it's something that you're planning in a couple years, like make sure you plan a trade show before you book and get to like sit down with the people. Cause that's like, for me, like I'd rather go with a guy that has maybe not the nicest camp, but I enjoy his company more than a guy that has 5-star everything, but I think he's a prick. Like that's what I do. And you can get guys on these Facebook groups and stuff selling people hunts, oh, this guy's great. But to me, it's like, for me, when it comes to this stuff, it's like you get all these people now on social media that think they think they know everything about something. And that's not the case. So it's like we were talking about Jason Carter. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to shoot a 200-inch mule deer every year because I don't know how to do that. Jason Carter can tell you how to do that. He might not want to, but he could.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then you get these guys and gals that have been to Africa 1 time or 2 times, but they go with the same outfitter. For me, it's like, if you're going to go with somebody or like listen to someone, like here in the States about an international hunt, make sure they know what they're doing. Like Bo Morgan, he spent so much time in Asia, and all the sheep stuff. And like, he's a guy I talk to about that stuff because he spent a lot of time over there, different areas, takes clients and stuff. Like you got to go with guys that have went with great outfitters and went with bad outfitters, because that's the only way they know about the great ones is because they went with the bad ones. You can't just go off one guy or one gal, some influencer on Instagram saying, go with this outfitter, but it's the only one I've been with 4 or 5 times, like they don't have any validation. It's like I was scrolling through your Instagram, you were talking about Voss Fitness or whatever. You're on there bashing them on one. It's like, if you only go to that gym and you say it's the best gym, how do you know if you've never been to all these other ones? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's kind of like the way I look at it. Or back to the Jimmy John thing. Like, how do you know Jimmy, or what's the one you were talking about? The
Jersey Mike's.
Yeah, how do you know Jersey Mike's is the best one if you've never been to Jimmy John's or Subway or all these other ones? Type of deal. Same aspect of things. Just kind of put it in more layman's terms, but like you got to go with people that are reputable and go with people that you mesh with. Like that's the biggest thing, is go with someone that you're going to have fun with. Because especially if it's your first time on any of these international hunts, if a guy and a gal can go there and not have any fun, and it could put a bad taste in their mouth when, 1, they never go back, and 2, they don't ever tell their friends to go. And like, he went and did Kyrgyzstan. Well, what if he didn't like it and you wanted to dream to go there, but he came back and told you don't ever go there? Then it crushes your dream just by his experience, type of deal. That's, like that sort of way.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's super helpful. And I think, finding a good especially these international hunts, finding a good outfitter is key. Like I've heard of guys, they'll go to like South Africa or somewhere and go with an outfitter they just found online or something else, and they like won't even shoot a kudu. They'll be like, oh yeah, I went over there for a kudu and like we didn't even see one. I'm like, who in the freak are you going with, right? Or same thing, I've heard lots of Asia horror stories, like guys going with outfitters. So just I think it's key to just really talk with people that have actually done it. Find actually accomplished outfitters that will be good, help you get what you want, and just all those different things. Just really key finding a good outfitter.
100%.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So with that being said, do you have like a favorite hunt you've been on, or species, or anything like that?
Favorite, like obviously the bongo that we talked about at the start, that was kind of like one of my top ones.
Uh-huh.
I loved going to Azerbaijan. That was a super fun one because those are like some of the steepest mountains in the world. Like they're dangerous steep. I think the year after I went, a client and a guide fell off a cliff and died. But like that's one of the coolest places I've went to. That was like a really fun one. I loved that one. I loved Pakistan. There's been some that I haven't like had as much fun in. Like they're all special in their own ways, but I would say, all of Africa for me personally, I love all of Africa. But like when I had to pick besides Africa, I would say Azerbaijan and Pakistan were my favorite too, just because of like the culture and the people, and I love New Zealand too. Cause like we talked about earlier, like would I ever quit hunting? Like I got to a point last year when I had some, all my little small hunting businesses, they were like kicking me in the ass. I was losing hand over fist money in them. And I'm like, I'm out of this. And I'm like, I don't even know if like it took it to where I wasn't enjoying hunting anymore because of it. And I sat there and I thought, okay, for a while I thought, okay, I'm not doing any hunting. Like I'm not going to go chase any of this other stuff, try to follow these other guys and do this other thing. I'm going to sit here and figure out what I want. And I sat there and I thought, where have I almost cried or did cry leaving? And it was Africa and New Zealand because I loved both those places just because of the people I've been around. So I'm like, I'll continue to go there. I was like, I'm never going back to Asia, because I didn't like, I've never had that crying feeling. But then I talked to cause I have a really good friend that I do all my Asia hunts with. And I talked to him at SCI and stuff. And it's like, all right, now I remember why I go back, because I want to go hang out with you and your company and I want to like just, things like that. So it's just, another thing like that is just like I try to find places that, I truly love to, as much as like a guy would love his wife. I love going these other places, because it's like,
dude, that's awesome. Dude, that's way cool. Okay, you got these hunts that you like absolutely adore, love, and they have super special places in your heart. Was there ever a hunt where you're like, screw that? You think about it, makes you want to throw up.
well, the forest I was at, like on day 14, I was like, get me the hell out of here during that time.
Right.
Because I mean, it's just like wet. I have a couple buddies that are really big into like hunting in Canada and Alaska, and I've never had a really fun hunt up there. Like obviously sheep hunts are supposed to be grind. They're rough, but it's like I've went on other sheep hunts and loved it. I went to Tajikistan. I got sick in Tajikistan. I loved it, but it's like up there in like the northern country, it's like same as in Cameroon. It always rains on me, and I always have like I shot my brown bear on the very last day. I thought I was gonna have to pay and go back again. I hunted 9 days before we found a legal doll sheep. Like they've just kicked me in the ass, and it's like like a lot of the times I'm like, I'll put the North America, like the northern North America hunts, like Alaska and Canada, on the back burner because like to me, I haven't had as much fun on those ones. So that'd be what I'd say for me. But I have buddies that go up there 2-3 times a year, and I'm like, it's sunny and bluebird when you're up there. When I'm up there, it's raining or there's so much smoke from all the fires, I can't see shit.
Sounds like just any hunt where it rains on you the whole time. You aren't a big fan of those ones.
Dude, I'm like a desert rat.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like I don't like heat really. Like I can handle heat, but when it comes to like humidity and heat and rain put all together, I'm like, oh, this is not good.
Yeah.
And I'm as white as the snow outside, so I burn like it's just a lot of elements are against me here.
I know I'm with you on that. I'm pretty white, so I get burned all the time too. But I know I lived in British Columbia for a little while, and yeah, just on the coast there, like during the winter, it rained for like 4 or 5 months straight, and you just want to kill yourself out there. I
Well,
hate.
that's why it's like that's why like Seattle and these places have these number one suicide rates because all it does is rain and you just feel like I feel so depressed that it snows every day and it's April. Like this
Yeah.
is like for like high school and middle school, it's spring break week up here for them. It's like I would feel so bad being on spring break and I mean, it's like there's like 2 foot of fresh snow outside almost right now. It's like this is ridiculous.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, it just feels unending. Yeah, I need some sun, dude. I need some freaking vitamin D, my freaking blood, fast.
Yeah. So you said, Lord Derby, that's kind of your goal that you're working towards your next big hunt you want to do. Do you have anything in the works, coming up sooner than that or?
So I'm probably gonna go visit a couple different places in South Africa. Got some buddies over there. It's just like those things. Go hang out with buddies. It's not about like checking stuff off. It's just like I'm gonna go hang out with some friends. Go over there maybe like January, February, or November, December. Like not your typical times to go, but it's like I'd rather leave here and go over there. Because obviously they're different solar system than us. So when it's winter here, it's summer there. Like I'll go over there and spend like their spring or their fall or their summer with them and leave the snow because like I'm over it too. So like things like that is just go visit buddies. And I have a buddy in Hungary that I'm gonna go visit, I think the end of October this year. We're gonna do some couple different things over there.
That's really cool.
So there's lots of hunts, right? Obviously, there's lots of hunts in
Oh, yeah.
Africa, lots of hunts in Asia, whatever. Is there any like hunts in, for example, in, like any like Pacific Islands in Europe or any of the like different places that kind of would intrigue you, or do they even exist?
Yeah, so there's like, Europe, there's a lot of stuff you got. I mean, like, so you can hunt like there's like fallow deer, and you can hunt them here in the States, obviously in New Zealand, Argentina, but you can hunt fallow deer, I think, in like 36 different countries. And it's like most of it's European stuff. So like, like there's just weird places you can go over there. There's some islands off the coast of like Australia that I would like to go, because there's like some rooster deer and stuff over there. And then there's a little island off Tanzania, Zanzibar, and they have a little pygmy antelope over there that I'd want to go hunt. Like just little things like that. Like just to my thing is like I love checking off the boxes of going places. Like I have flags from every country that I've been to. And so it's like I just collect flags and money. Like I'll get like a couple of dollars in each place and frame them just to show like currencies. So it's like I want to be able to say like when I'm, you know, 50, 60, 70, if I ever have kids or grandkids, I want to be like, well, I've been here, 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 and here. Like I'm about experiences more than actually hunting animals. Like
Yeah.
I'd rather be like, oh, I've been to, 14 different, countries over here and 20 over here. And, I've been on all continents. I still only have one continent left to hunt, and so that's kind of like I'd rather just check boxes, and I have like a scratch off map back here that scratches off every country. Like I just love like the aspect of experience and things.
Yeah, I think the experience part is just as big. Like, I obviously haven't been on as many as you, but the few I've been on, just like, seeing the culture, meeting the different people, I feel like that's just as rewarding sometimes as the actual hunt. Just seeing how those people live, experiencing their culture, just everywhere I've been, the people have just been extremely nice, want the best for you, take great care of you. And I think that's just as cool as the traveling aspect of it, just experiencing these new things, seeing new places, as the actual hunt.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Like I had a buddy that just went and did Iran. He
Mhm.
just got a visa to get in Iran. Like I want to say I went to Iran. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Like, how many people do you know that like, for in my case, I don't know anyone that's been to Iran or let alone like that part of the world. So I mean, that's just cool.
that's the thing. It's kind of be like, oh, hey, where you been? Ah, Iran. Oh, shit. All right. Like I want to say that. Like I don't think there's any hunting legally done in Afghanistan right now, or I'd say just go there.
Right.
Yeah. What's in is it sheep in Iran? Or is
Yeah.
it
So you have 6 different species of sheep, I think.
uh,
Well, yeah, 6 different species of sheep and an ibex in Iran and a gazelle right now that you can hunt.
cool? I know a lot of these countries that are closed, I think it'd be so cool to hunt. Like where we were at in Kyrgyzstan, like
China.
we were right next to China, right? And just over the board, like I'm like, there gotta be monster, Marco Polo over there or Ibex, or I think some parts they even have the Argali over in China, but like you always can't go hunt over there. But I don't think anyone's really hunting them, even the people over there. So
Yeah, China, like I would say the top 2 places that if like let's put it this way, Africa as a whole has like the most species available. Like I have a buddy, Rick Warren, he just went over there and he just took his 172nd species from Africa. SCI record book recognizes over 200. Some are non-huntable, like they still like categorize them so you can learn about them. But like I would say, like besides Africa, you go to like Asia and Europe, they have way more species. But like when you go single places, you have like Pakistan, Iran, and China that have so many different species that you can hunt. Pakistan has a ton of different stuff. Iran, like I just listed off, but like China has, I think they might even have like 10 sheep species in China to hunt different ones, back when it was legal. And then, you had a bunch of different other species over there. Like it's just like those places have some wild stuff to hunt, like stuff that you can't even like imagine. Like it just and so like that's the thing that like gets me excited is like, oh, will these ever open? Like China probably never will, unfortunately, but like going to those places is like the key thing. Like pick like here between, Wyoming and Utah, you on a normal day, you're going to have like your antelope, your mule deer, and your elk as far as like your big ungulates. Oh, and a moose. You'll have those, maybe a buffalo, but they're not, not as relatively available. So you got like 5 species. You go to like some of these other places and it's like you'll see 5 different species in like an hour. It's just like the cool part about it is going and seeing all these different things that you hear about or you see on National Geographic. It's just like I could only imagine being alive when dinosaurs were around. Like that shit would have been wild.
Oh
Oh,
my gosh.
going around whacking a T-Rex or something. I think that'd be pretty
Hey,
sick.
I hear that they're trying to bring some woolly mammoths back into Serbia. Maybe one day that'll be
I
up in
seen that shit on Instagram.
Yeah.
I know. I listened to the Joe Rogan podcast about it. Like he had some guy on there. I think it's pretty legit. Like they're putting they found some mammoth DNA and they're putting them in like a Indian elephant. And yeah, they're going to have a little mammoth sanctuary up there or something.
Yeah, some of the shit people are doing, it's crazy. Like
It's crazy. It's scary too.
there's
I'm
a
like,
whole another
what's
rabbit
next,
hole.
dude? What's freaking
Yeah.
next?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything else?
Oh yeah, I want to. What continent did you have left?
Like the Arctic. I got to do the Arctic.
Okay.
That'd be the only one.
So what are you gonna hunt? Some seals down there? Some Arctic
I mean,
seals?
walruses, like, so there's some ducks that you can hunt up in the Arctic,
Okay,
stuff like that.
dude, that'd be
Just
sweet.
always about going and doing one thing. That's all that matters. If there's one thing, I'm gonna go do it.
I know. I
Obviously,
always thought the polar bear walrus combo you could do out there would be pretty sick. But
yeah, yeah. I'll do a polar bear. Obviously, that's like a lot of controversy and stuff, but I'll do
yeah,
one. Even though
That'd
you can't bring it back, like I'll do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
yeah. See, like that, I don't understand that either. Like with the global warming stuff, they're like, oh, the polar bears are going extinct. But I think they're doing better now that there's not as much ice. Like there's more polar bears than ever now.
Is that
Well, and
right?
that's the same.
Yeah,
Oh,
And this was the same thing as like, whether we go up there and hunt them, those locals, they get like 20 tags a year, whether they sell them to us to hunt them, they're going to go shoot them regardless. 20 polar bears are going to die.
Mhm.
It's not like they're saving 20 by us not going and hunting them. Those guys are going to shoot them because they eat them. They live, they sell their hides. That's like kind of like, that's a way of life to them. They don't know anything better. Like they don't know anything else. Like they've grown up doing it. It's part of their tradition. So regardless, if they have 20 tags, 20 polar bears are dying. Whether me and you go shoot 1 or 2, or 20 guys from America go up there, they're gonna do it. So that's just one of those things that people don't see. And like the U.S. Fish and Wildlife has, like, I could go down a rabbit hole of what they tried to ban stuff. It's crazy. America's the only place, the U.S. North America is the only place that I see trying to regulate other people's business. Like when it comes to wildlife, like they
yeah,
try to regulate African stuff, and it's like we're 6,000 miles away from there, and you've probably never been. So why the hell are you trying to tell someone else about something over there? That'd be like a guy in Zambia or South Africa trying to tell us how to manage our mule deer.
yeah. I know the one that just doesn't make sense to me, just pisses me off is the lions in South Africa. It's like South Africa, pretty much all of it. It's like all high fenced and stuff, right? So like these lions and stuff, like it's just like it's like their property. It's kind of like it's not like cattle, but in a sense it is like cattle, right? And then the US is, oh, you can't import lions from South Africa. And it's like it's not even South Africa's like these guys, these game owners, like they own them, like it's their area and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, the US thinks they could
Yeah.
step in and tell them how to manage their stuff.
Yeah. It's sad. I mean, it's like, like the game stuff in South Africa and Namibia has brought back so many different species, like population number wise, that it's sad to see them try to regulate it, because then it brings no value to that animal anymore. So then no one wants to breed them. No one wants to keep them around. And like the zoos here aren't doing shit for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're not breeding them at the zoos. They're in captivity in a small ass area, compared to like, obviously, like we've talked about, there's some shitty outfitters out there and there's some shitty, like people that run stuff shitty and shady, but like the good ones are doing it ethically and, really doing like their part of it. And they're the ones that are getting pounded by it because, we think we can come in there and tell them how to do something when we can barely run our own country.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Or,
that's
yeah.
true.
Especially now, we aren't running it very good right now.
No, it's kind of like driving using the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. Or it's just going backwards. Not
Or-
very well either, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy we have, I don't even know if he's in the car. He's not using any.
He's
mirrors.
definitely not driving.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
he's just falling upstairs and falling off bikes. So
Yeah. No
Yeah.
shit.
but dude, thanks for coming on. It does mean a lot. This is our humble podcast, and we love just getting on here and talking to people, and you've been just awesome, absolute gem. So
Well, I appreciate it, man. It was fun. I enjoyed it. So if you guys want to do another one, I'll come down for the next one, make it happen. Talk about some other shit. I'm game to talk about anything. Like I'm not always just talk about hunting. I'll talk about anything and everything.
dude, we'll get you on again, dude. This was fun. We'll
Tell you,
for sure get
tell you what
on.
not to do when you own a gym. I'll tell you what not to do.
But yeah.
Well, we want to hear it.
Yeah, we're definitely interested in that. Do you want to like share your socials or where people could find you?
And we'll also put it all in our
Curious.
links too in the bio.
Okay. I don't even know if I can tell my socials off the top of my head. So I've gotten I had 2 Instagram accounts shut down last year, so I've been swapping up a bunch of stuff. So I do all my like hunting stuff. I post all my hunting content on my Sim Safari page, Sim Safaris. It's just SIMS Safaris. I post it all there, and I share like all my hunting buddy stuff. And then on my personal page, which is Mckenzie, like the __ Sims one, I do like I post a little bit of hunting stuff, but I'm more like kind of going in the route of business wise on that, and some like personal development stuff, kind of keeping those separate. And then like that's about it. I do Sims Industrial Services. That's my oil field one, but I don't post much on there because we don't take a lot of content in some of these places we work. But other than that, like that's about it. Like if you want to watch hunting content, get on that one. Subscribe to my blog because I write stuff every Tuesday and Friday, and I post like little videos and stuff. And so get on there and check all that stuff out. And then if you want to just hear me rant about stupid shit that's happening in the world, follow my personal one.
Yeah,
Perfect.
well, thanks again, man. Maybe if you come down again for another podcast, or
Yeah, we'll
I'll
get you on.
probably see you at a show or something. I'll watch out for you. But
Okay. Cool. Well, I appreciate it, boys. I'll try to maybe this summer I'll swing down there and go do something or something.
Sweet, dude.
Yeah,
Sounds good. Let's plan on it.
Cool. Appreciate it, boys. Thanks.
yeah, have a good one.
Take care.
Yep. See ya.